I am at this stage going to move a precedence of business, and we'll deal with going to deal with item number 12. I'll move that. Councillor Philippaina will second. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
Against? Carried. And Councillor Clow and Cooper and I will quickly pop out. Councillor Philippaina will take over the chairing, and we'll be back as soon as it's finished. Thank you.
Oh, okay, we're out of here. We're out of here.
Item 10, I think. Which is the safe swap.
I'm just going to move it in the first instance so then we could get our officers to speak second. Anybody?
Seconded, yeah.
Josephine. Oh, sorry, Councillor Bartley. I'll move that. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. All yours. I'll take it as read from all the members of the committee, but any comments you wish to make?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to introduce Nadine Hopkins to my left, who is the policy analyst that drafted this submission and is our lead policy advisor for the local alcohol policy as it goes through the judicial processes that it's currently going through. We're happy to take the report as read. I'll hand over to Nadine to give you a little bit of an update on the process that we went through to get the feedback and to highlight some of the additional feedback that we've received in the forms of submission content from the local boards, which should have been circulated to you, which will be attached to the submission when it is sent.
Thank you. The submission, which is attachment A to the draft report, was amended after a drop-in session held on the 22nd of March. And through email feedback. It has been amended as a result of the feedback received, and that's been highlighted in the report. As well as that, today there would have been circulated the local board submissions that would be attached to the council submission. One was by way of resolution confirming support of council's draft submission. The other four being by way of additional submissions to be attached. These are from Otara Papatoetoe, Manurewa, Papakura and Mangere o Tāhahu. In particular, Otara Papatoetoe and Mangere o Tāhahu support the intent of the bill without any reservations.
Cool. Any other comments? If not, questions? Councillor Collins.
Thanks, Chair. Just a couple of questions. Sorry, it's gone up. I beg your pardon. Staff recommending an appointed person. Thank you. Part 17 of the report talks about potential negative effects of the bill on existing businesses. I read section 5 in the attachment, and I couldn't follow the logic, and I was just wondering if you could give me a real easy way to understand that logic, please, as to why the feedback highlighted potential negative effects of the bill on existing businesses.
Through the Chair, so the bill as it's being drafted will basically doesn't have any provisions in it for making a distinction between businesses at renewal. So if we had a policy position, or if a council had a policy position that was effectively a sinking lid, then any renewal, or the first renewal that came up, would then potentially be cancelled as a result of that. So there is an issue around natural justice. There is an issue also around that could potentially mean that our high quality businesses are losing their licences while our less quality businesses, because of the timing of their renewal, get to retain theirs. So what we're saying is that there is further work that could be done by government to make it clearer on what the process would be in a fair and just way for determining which businesses could and should be closed as a result of that process.
Excellent. That makes sense now. Thanks for that, Mike.
Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. So, Mike, you remember I chaired the local alcohol policy work last term, and it was tourniqueted and took quite a bit of time. This bill is going to be conflicting that some of our recommendations, and although our recommendations have still been held up in the court systems, could you give us some daylight, please, on where there might be some conflicts between what's proposed in this bill and our LAP draft?
Through the chair, at present there would actually be no conflict. The LAP as it's drafted does not anticipate the policy applying for renewal of off-licence to provide the right to refuse to renew.
Okay.
Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you. Thank you for your work on the submission. I just wanted to know, when community feedback was sought on the local alcohol policy, was there any feedback regarding renewals?
Through the chair, you'll need to give me a moment to cast back my mind to that. We are trying to remember submissions processes that occurred 2 to 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was content in relation to renewals discussed, and that was because there was concerns about the current levels of premises. And there was also concerns raised around proximity of some of the current premises to other sensitive sites. So there was that discussion around it. As has been mentioned, the current wording of the bill on section 133 specifically excludes the policy from being able to address those density issues around renewal, and it was on the basis of that that the decision was made that the policy wouldn't address it.
So if the council would like, I've still got all the submissions in my office.
You can read them.
Very
now.
welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So it was left. So renewals was not addressed in the local alcohol policy.
Yes, it was.
It was, but it didn't make the cut. Didn't make the cut. It's not in the local alcohol policy.
No, this is the members'
It can't
board.
be because of the legislation. Is that right?
Michael.
There is sections in the policy in relation to renewals, but the application of the density provisions within the renewals, the application of density provisions within the policy was not applied to renewals because section 133 as it's currently worded doesn't actually allow for council to include density provisions in relation to renewals.
Thank you.
Councillor Collins, and then Casey, and then I'll put the recommendations.
Joyce, thanks for your patience with me, Chair. I'm not sure if this is a question for Mike or for you, Chair, but the feedback that I've received from both Mangere Otahu and Otara Papatoetoe is the idea that they would like to have hearings for this out in South Auckland. With the other piece of feedback, and I was just wondering, is that something to include as an amendment, or how could we pick up the idea that's been suggested by the local boards? So I'm just not sure whether that's a question for you or for the report writer.
I know it's, sorry Nadine, I was going to say something, but you're qualified.
Thank you. Through the chair, we have provided in 8.3 of the submission and requested for the hearings to be held in Auckland, as well as that the 2 submissions from Otara Papatoetoe and I believe Mangere Otahu have also referred to the hearings being held in South Auckland.
So we had spoken with Tam and trying to organise that as well. Out to the South Auckland.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Casey, and then we'll put it.
I believe it's yourself, Mr. Chairman, that's going to, before the committee to present.
No, it's the
It's
deputy mayor, and I'm the alternate in the event that he
right,
won't
you
be
are.
able to make it.
Okay.
Not unless you want to put your name down as the
No,
alternate.
no, I'll come and hold
okay.
his hand, maybe. Chip in. Because I think, no, the reason I'm saying that is this is an absolute perfect opportunity to tell the government that the local alcohol policy is just, it hasn't happened.
No.
And you've produced the figures to
Hear,
show
hear.
that. But we started this process in 2012.
Yep.
This is 2018. We still don't have a date, and the good communities in the south are looking to the local alcohol policy as a way to turn back the invasion of poorer communities by off licences, and in its absence, there's nothing we can do. So whoever goes,
The legislation.
I'm very happy
Yeah.
to come with you and say, what can you do about this?
Well, I know, sorry, that Tam sent an email out to us around when the local alcohol policy will end up being put, and that was 18 months.
Yep.
That was the last we heard because of the challenges. So, you know, I mean, we're just in the same process in regards to the challenges that have been there. And like I said, I think, Tam, you sent it out about a week or so ago.
And so when I read this, a wee sentence in here, Michael, I think you've written there could be an unintended consequence of further delay as a result of this, which just close shop.
Yeah. Okay.
Through the chair, in
You wanna-
response
yep.
to that, we are dealing with applicants that look for every opportunity to delay the process.
Yeah.
I
Our
know.
concern is that this could create a further opportunity for vigilant lawyers to further delay the process.
Yep, totally agree. So look, if there's no further questions, I'm going to open it up for any comment. And Councillor Collins.
Thanks, Chair. All I wanted to do was pick up on a bit of a point that Councillor Casey made, and being very loud and proud and vocal about the Whakao area and Manurewa Papakura. And look, point 8.2, the final sentence is the current bill doesn't go far enough to ensure community voices can be heard on licensing decisions. And I think that probably sums up how these local boards feel, how many in the community feel. And I guess this is, it would be remiss of me not to echo and speak to perhaps the frustration that is being felt in those local board areas, because we know that there's major issues for those local boards and for those communities. So the ability to possibly have the hearing out south would be good, because it gives people the opportunity to attend them, to be part of those discussions. But I think it's really important that we're cognizant of the sentiment that exists out there, and I just thought it was important for me to say that. Thanks.
Josephine?
Thank you,
Sorry,
Mr.
Councillor Bartley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I just also want to add some comment that it's not only a South Auckland issue, but take on board what people have already raised, and happy to support the hearings being held out in South Auckland, but we have pockets in Central Auckland which are riddled with off licences. So density is a major issue, and I see this bill as one way to address density. The fact that we don't have a local alcohol policy yet should not be a reason to not support and strongly support what's in this bill, because when we do get our alcohol policy, local alcohol policy in place, it would be good to have density addressed in that policy, which currently isn't. So
Hear, hear.
that's where I'm at.
So we'll talk with Julie McKee's department around locations with the hearings. Yeah. So no further comments. I'm going to, just to sort of point out B in the red, Deputy Mayor and myself as alternate, and also we'll leave with the Independent Māori Statutory Board to appoint a member.
Okay, kia ora, thank you.
Okay, so no further comments. Put the two recommendations. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Thank you.